Okay, so you've got your new hard drive all set up in your computer. Now today in this video I'll be showing you how to partition that hard drive into halves, thirds, quarters, etc., whichever you want to do, and assign them a drive letter, and it will show up as an individual drive in itself on your computer. And we'll be using the drive manager on that's built into Windows 10, and it's also on Windows 7 as well to do that. Okay, we're going to perform it in disk management, or disk manager as it might be known in Windows 7. So if we go down to the start button and right click on it, and we go up to disk management and left click on that to open disk manager. There are other ways to open disk management, and also other ways to do it in other versions of Windows as well, so as long as you get that open. Now straight away, as soon as it's opened, it has detected the brand new drive, which it has here as disk 5, and it knows that things obviously need to be sorted out there. So the disk needs to be initialized. Choose the master boot record option. Now you'll notice the drives that are in use are marked in blue, and the drives or partitions that haven't been set up are marked in black. So if we find our drive now, it's down as disk 5. Okay, so we found our drive there, all in black, disk 5. We need to set that up now. So if we right click just underneath that black line where it says unallocated and choose new simple volume, we'll be greeted with a wizard which will help us perform our next task. That is a task wizard, not a man from Somalia with a bag of runes and a witch's cauldron. When greeted by the wizard, click next to get into this next part. Now this is the important part now, because this details how big we want the first partition. So if we want to split this up, which we do, into 2 or more parts, we have to divide that number up by the amount that we want. So here I think we're going to split this into 2 separate partitions, this one hard drive. So basically we need to divide that number there by 2 and then re-enter that number back into the entry place there. Okay, so the number automatically defaults to the full amount of the size of your hard drive, so the volume you've got there. So what it does is when you divide that by 2 and you put that into the entry point, it'll split that basically exactly in half. If you want to split it by 3, obviously you divide it by 3 and then put that number in, and that'll give you 1/3 basically of that size volume of the disk you have. Obviously the size of the individual volumes, you know, is indicative to the actual size of the whole hard drive itself. You know, what percentage of the hard drive you get and how big that actually is depends on how big the whole drive is itself. It doesn't like cutting and pasting that number out the calculator into there. It also doesn't like the decimal point on there, so you'll have to forego the last decimal place. Just fit the whole number in, and you should be fine. When you've done that, type that number in. You can press next. The next window will let you assign a drive letter for the partition. Once you've done that and press next, the next window is the formatting window, and this lets you perform your formatting options. NTFS is your best bet, unless you're having a hard drive that's going to be like an external hard drive that's going to be connecting to a lot of other different devices, and you want film files and things like that being read by other devices, then perhaps a FAT type of formatting would be more ideal there. But I would, if it's just going to be in the computer, I choose NTFS for the file format there. Here you can also choose to name your partition or your volume. If you don't wish to do so at the minute, you can always do that, go back and do that later on, so that's not a big deal at this point in time. Once you've done all that, you can press next and format the disk, and then move on to the next window and finish the partition on the wizard. Okay, that's our one partition done, and as you can see them side by side there with identical size. One's turned blue because that's just been finished, the other one is black because we've still yet to initialize that half of the disk. Obviously we need to follow the same procedure all over again, so we right click on that side that's black and choose a new simple volume again, and go through the wizard process all over again, remembering though that this time the default number that it gives us for the whole size of the disk is what we want to use, unless we of course want to split that up, but that's entirely up to you. You know the process now from the first one that we did, and we just go through it all over again quickly. We can rename it to something different. Okay, that's that all done. There, both of them are initialized. Two different partitions. The one hard drive split into two with two separate assign letters, and both showing up as two individual hard drives on the system themselves there, top and bottom, one above the other. And that is how you split up or partition a hard drive when you've just installed it into your computer. If you want to expand the sizes or shrink the sizes, you do have a shrink volume and expand volume, and what it will do, if there's any space left on the one of the partitions, it will allow you to steal a little bit more space from that drive and then choose to add it to the other one that you choose to add it to. So you can shrink or expand whichever partition that you wish to. Obviously if you wish to rejoin it again at a later date, obviously any data that you want to save off the partitions first and transfer to somewhere else, blank media or something like that, do that first. You can obviously delete the partitions, and then once you've done that you can then reclaim that back onto the volume that you wish to keep. So you could reclaim all of the one partition or partitions onto the one, and it would all be one volume again. And that is how we partition our hard drive into separate individual drives.